Singapore is often held up as the poster child of bilingual success. Since the 1960s, Singapore has implemented a strict bilingual education policy where students learn English as the main language of instruction while also studying their designated quote-unquote mother tongue, Mandarin, Malay, or Tamil. English is the language of business, science, and international affairs, while the mother tongue is tied to cultural identity. It sounds ideal, but even there, challenges exist. Many students, especially those from English-speaking households, struggle with their mother tongue. The government has had to reform curricula and support lower-performing students to make sure that bilingualism doesn't come at the cost of confidence or self-esteem. Meanwhile, in Hong Kong, bilingual education is about balancing Chinese and English, specifically Cantonese, Mandarin, and English, all under one educational roof. Some people are labeled as English medium instruction EMI schools and are highly sought after by parents hoping to give their kids an edge in global careers. But again, there's tension. Can you raise English fluency without weakening Chinese literacy? Does EMI unintentionally create a system of academic inequality? These are questions that Taiwan is now facing head-on. The Bilingual 2030 policy, launched by the National Development Council and the Ministry of Education, sets out to do nothing less than redefine Taiwan's education landscape. The two big goals are 1. Help Taiwan's future workforce connect to the world, and 2. Make Taiwan a more attractive destination for international enterprises and professionals. We're talking about a full spectrum plan, from improving English proficiency among civil servants to developing digital learning tools, expanding access to affordable English tests, and rolling out bilingual content from elementary schools all the way to universities. It sounds impressive on paper, and in many ways it is. Some schools are embracing English medium instruction, universities are piloting EMI programs, civil servants are now undergoing English training, there are even digital platforms like Cool English supporting students online. But is it enough? Teachers, especially at the elementary and high school level, report low confidence in teaching in English. Some university students in ENMI classes find themselves confused, unable to follow the material. Critics say that the policy risks prioritizing English at the expense of Mandarin proficiency and cultural grounding. And let's not forget, becoming bilingual takes more than the policy document. It takes cultural shift, daily practice, and a lot of support. Still, the demand is there. Taiwan's economic transformation is making English fluency more than a bonus. It is a necessity. International companies are setting up shop, Taiwanese companies are expanding abroad, and the ability to speak and think fluently across languages is quickly becoming the currency of opportunity. That will be the topic of our discussion today. I'm Joey Chou, and this is Beyond the Reefs. Hi, you're listening to Beyond the Reefs, a show produced by Radio Taiwan International. Here we talk about socio-economic issues that are faced by Taiwan and their broader impact around the world beyond the reefs of this island nation. Joining us today is someone at the forefront of this transformation of bilingualism, the CEO and founder of Hope English, one of Taiwan's fastest growing English learning platforms. Whether you're a student trying to improve your learning skills, listening skills, or a working professional preparing for your first overseas conference call, chances are you've seen Hope English in action. Our guest is here to talk about what learners in Taiwan are really struggling with, how tech and AI are changing the way people learn languages, and whether Bilingual 2030 is actually working on the ground or just another government slogan. Stick around, because beyond the reefs of educational reforms lie a deeper current of cultural change, economic ambition, and generational hope. Our guest's name is Charlie Zhen. Let's first give him a chance to introduce himself.
Okay, so my name is Charlie, and I'm the founder of this online English learning platform called Hope English. And we are focused on helping people, English learners, learn English in a more efficient way.
And how long has the company been around for?
Yeah, we have been in this industry for a little more than 10 years, 11 now. So 11 years in the industry. We have also been helping schools, because since we're talking about bilingual education policy this time, right? So we've been working with more than 50 or 100 schools. There are elementary schools, junior or senior high schools, we've been helping more than 100 schools, trying to, help them train their bilingual teachers. So I kind of like uh, got some requests from schools or teachers understanding what kind of difficulties they're facing under this policy. I've heard a lot actually.
I would have thought that schools invited you to teach the students, but instead you're actually being asked to teach the teachers.
Yeah, we actually went in to start at the beginning. Like they invited us to give them maybe some speeches or trainings about how teachers can utilize online resources to deliver their lectures or to use our lecture, to use our content in their classroom. But we just realized that there's much more we can do for schools or teachers. So they then realized that, okay, under this policy, so this policy actually came out, I think, 2, 3 years ago, right? When the government started to implement this bilingual education policy, first thing they did was they tried to help teachers. They need to have enough teachers to deliver this kind of bilingual education. So they started to try training their teachers, our own teachers. But that was basically the reason why we began, collaborating with schools, training their teachers. Because before this policy, we didn't really hear much about this kind of request, like training their teachers to being able to teach bilingually in schools. But after this policy, we got a lot of requests about how we can actually help the teachers in English teaching.
Okay, let me just clarify this for our audience. So the reason that teachers are now being trained to teach bilingually is because Taiwan's bilingual 2030 policy, the goal is that students will be able to learn all kinds of different subjects in English. So not just English itself, but rather all academic subjects such as math or science. And that is the reason, am I right, that you are now being asked to teach teachers English?
Right, right. So, from different schools or different teachers, we got different training demands. Because some of the schools, they focus a lot on just starting from classroom English, like whatever they can use within a classroom, not related to the content, to the topics, the subjects they teach, but just classroom English. But some of the schools, they also apply this bilingual classes into different subjects, such as, I don't know, they usually start from like arts or PE classes or some easier classes that they can handle easier. But some of the schools, they also bring this bilingual education to science classes or mathematics classes.
Interesting. So, because I thought the bilingual 2030 policy is supposed to eventually require the university students to be able to learn subjects in English, but I didn't know that high school or elementary schools are also trying to do it bilingually. Are your clients mainly elementary school, high school, senior high school, or university level?
Well, we do have all different levels, but mostly we have 70-80% of our clients are from elementary schools.
Wow.
That is also something that I was really surprised, because like you said, I thought maybe for universities there's a better chance for our university students to be able to learn different subjects bilingually, right? But because of the policy, because of the resource allocation, the most requests I get was from elementary schools. So that was actually surprising.
I'm going to guess it's resource allocation because maybe you get extra funding if your school turns bilingual. I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, so when you say bilingual school, that's actually something that's a little more like unique, where you can get extra resource. So, some of the elementary schools or high schools, junior high schools, they try to fight for this kind of title, bilingual schools. And that's also better for their registration rate.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And so we're not just talking about private schools, right? Public schools are also doing the same thing. Like,
I'm talking about public schools, not private schools, because private schools they all have their own they did their own different policies. So this is actually about public schools.
Oh, okay, so very interesting. Okay, so the meat of today's subject is that there are a lot of critics of Taiwan's bilingual 2030 policy. Now, you are a parent,
Right.
and you have been teaching English through Hope English for many years, but I also hear that you are opening your own 补习班 or English learning facilities.
Right.
So, do you think the bilingual 2030 policy, as a parent, do you think that is a net positive or maybe a little bit of negative for your children? Because, like we said, if the children are being encouraged to learn academic subjects in English, there's always the fear that they can't learn it as well as they did in Mandarin Chinese.
You're actually right, because that is actually the dilemma right there. You want them to have, I believe the government wanted to create this bilingual environment for our next generation, right? But which we actually lack at our generation. But the thing is, I just feel like, well, as a parent, I can see like our kids are learning. So my oldest daughter, she's 80 years old now. She's learning all different subjects in a public school, right? So when she's taking the science classes or math classes, this is the first time they get access to this kind of knowledge. So if you're teaching them in a different language, of course, it's going to be more difficult. It's going to be even more difficult for them to understand. So as a parent, of course, well, I feel like I want our kids to get a best resource or access to the knowledge in their mother language, which is actually Chinese, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that there is a way. As much as I want this environment, like bilingual environment, say English speaking environment, to be more accessible here in Taiwan, but maybe in this kind of different subjects, our kids can actually get access to learn it in our native language first, and then maybe we get extra time or resource, we can actually review, or we can actually apply whatever we have learned in Chinese in a different English setting. So that is actually something. Also, you mentioned I created this school facility, like English learning facility. This is also like the playground for me to experiment my English learning, or say knowledge acquiring method, matching up with different subjects with English, which is actually fun, because when you, for example, like when you have already learned what is that, like a fraction in physics, right? You have learned that in Chinese, and you do this experiments in English setting with an English teacher or bilingual teacher. You can then apply whatever you have learned with this within this knowledge, and then you can utilize whatever you have already known and try to use English to do like a group discussion, or to do some experiment design. That is actually more accessible, well, comparing to if you learn it the first time and you learn it in a totally different language.
That's very interesting. So, yes, there are ways for a bilingual curriculum applied to academic subjects in a more experimental setting. And I think what you said is actually very helpful. Yeah, like you learn it in Mandarin Chinese first,
Right.
then in a more lifestyle way to experiment the same thing that you learned, but this time in English. So, Hope English has been specializing in this for a long time. And one of the biggest problems with Taiwan's curriculum is that we turn a lot of subjects, and particularly sometimes English, into an academic subject, and a language is really not supposed to be an academic subject. So, very briefly, what is the spirit of learning English efficiently through the Hope English channel?
Right, because, well, of course, this is a long story, but I'll make the story short. Yeah, because that was actually almost 25 years ago when I learned English with my dad. So instead of traditional memorizing, rote memorization, and exam-based curriculum, my dad actually asked me to review whatever I have learned. He actually focused a lot on review. So in a sense that when you get access to the content you have already learned multiple times, this knowledge became your long-term memory, instead of just something that you try to memorize to handle the text, and then you forget everything afterwards.
Mhm.
So that actually worked really well 25 years ago. So in Hope English, we try to utilize like this kind of methodology. We design a system where you can actually apply review, learn and review in a more efficient way. No matter what kind of subjects, I believe a review is going to be the most important part if you want to learn it as a knowledge, especially for English. You want to learn it and you want to use English as the communication tool instead of just a school subject. I think review and also applying whatever you have learned in class to your life, that is the most important part.
And it seems like you're also applying that to this English learning institution that you're now opening with English to review all the academic subjects in a more, fun and lighthearted manner. And one last question for you, Charlie, and this I think is actually
Yes.
quite important because this is kind of like really the gist of our conversation here today is some say
Mm.
that language abilities may be replaced by AI. And to be honest, as a translator myself, I can really see that happening already. It's doing it so much like better and better because somehow the language models of these artificial intelligence can really be used to translate English very well. Do you see possibly that we spend so much time learning English and maybe in 5 years it's just obsolete because you can actually have an AI to maybe direct translate everything you say from one language into another? Do you see that happening, or is that still a little bit of a way away?
Interesting, because I'm sure in the near future, many jobs are gonna be replaced by AI, like you just mentioned, like a translation or interpreting. These are something we can already see. ChatGPT can do a lot of for us already, right?
Hmm.
But okay, so if you want to create a business email, ChatGPT to help you. Yeah, but imagine when your potential client wants to, have a small talk with you about a NBA game last night. Um, but you decided to wait for the translation, right? So, they're not gonna wait for you. Can you still make that deal, right? I'm just saying that uh, many jobs are gonna be replaced by AI, but there's still, acquiring these different languages. It's not only about using it in a business setting. When we learn a new language, we're not only learning it to just pass some exams or getting a job. We're learning this language so that we can use it to communicate with people, and even more, you can actually learn about a different culture, and that, from what I see, will not really easily being replaced by AI. With the advance of technology, I'm pretty sure a lot of things are going to be replaced, but acquiring the language acquisition is actually something I believe will not easily be replaced or be abandoned in the next 5 or 10 years even.
As we wrap up this episode, one thing is clear. The future of bilingual education isn't just about schools and textbooks, it's about adaptability, access, and ambition. In a rapidly globalizing world where communication rules innovations and opportunity, bilingualism has become a fundamental skill, not a luxury. And with digital transformation accelerating across different industries, the way we teach and learn languages must evolve just as fast. Technology has already begun to reshape the landscape. Platforms like Hope English are making high quality language education more accessible to people across Taiwan. Meanwhile, tools like ChatGPT and other AI driven language assistants are helping learners practice in real time, simulating conversations and receive instant feedback tailored to their level. Taiwan's bilingual 2030 policy has set the stage, but the performance will be up to the students, the teachers, families, and innovators. So, whether you're picking up your first English word, diving into Mandarin, or exploring a new language entirely, remember the future speaks more than one language. And with the right mindset and the right tech, so can you. This has been Beyond the Reefs, and I'm Joey Chou. See you next time.